So Democrats have a messaging problem. They're lacking both a message and a messenger. Since Kamala Harris lost in 2024, the party appears to be leaderless and has no unified message. Party leaders are unsure what the party believes in, what issues they should focus on, and how to effectively combat Trump in order to win in 2026 and beyond. So how did we get here?
John Kerry, whichever way the wind blows.
In 2004, George Bush was running for re-election against the Democratic nominee John Kerry. By this point, the rally behind the flag effect had mostly faded, and Bush's approval ratings were dropping. Despite this, he was still able to beat Kerry in the general election, and that's probably because Kerry was the most milquetoast Democrat that the Democrats could have possibly picked to run against Bush. They had a chance to pick someone like Howard Dean, but he lost for having, I guess, too much energy. Yeah, that was the moment that ended his campaign. It's kind of ridiculous if you ask me. But along with lacking charisma, Kerry also was known for flip-flopping on critical issues such as the war in Iraq. The Bush campaign put out an attack ad against Kerry that pointed this out, and it ended up being very effective.
In which direction would John Kerry lead? Kerry voted for the Iraq War, opposed it, supported it, and now opposes it again.
I don't think anyone was really that excited to vote for Kerry. I think people were excited to vote against Bush, but as we know, that clearly wasn't enough to get him past the finish line and into the White House.
Oh no, I don't understand this. Grilled cheese Obamas.
In the 2008 Democratic primary, Hillary Clinton was the front runner for the majority of the race. This wasn't very surprising given that she was obviously the first lady under Bill Clinton, and he was the last Democrat to be in the White House. So it made sense that people were eager for another Clinton to be able to get the Democrats into the White House, hopefully. However, she was clearly seen as part of the establishment, and her prior support for the Iraq War didn't help her chances. That was when Obama stepped in. Someone that was a new, young face for Democrats and represented the future of the party. He was a great speaker and very charismatic. This was proven by huge crowds that he was able to attract. Yeah, it was very impressive, especially for the time. And people knew what they were getting with Obama, and they were excited about it. And that's why he was able to win states like Iowa, Indiana, Ohio, and North Carolina. States which Democrats haven't won since Obama was on the ballot. Democrats also won a huge majority in the House and the supermajority in the Senate, which is something that's unimaginable today. And while this victory could partially be explained by the recession and people just being fed up with the Republicans at this point, they had 8 years of George W. Bush, right? But Obama's charisma and his ability to fill people with hope for the future really helped motivate Democrats to actually go to the polls and vote.
I'm just chilling in Cedar Rapids.
In 2016, Hillary was the perfect candidate for someone like Trump to run against. She was literally the face of the establishment. In a time when Americans were increasingly dissatisfied with politics as usual. Americans wanted someone that would shake up Washington, and Trump clearly took advantage of that. She was also hilariously bad at messaging. Just look at these clips.
We need to get that dog and follow them around, and every time they say these things, the Great Recession was caused by too much regulation.
I'm just chilling in Cedar Rapids.
I don't know who created Pokemon Go, but I'm trying to figure out how we get them to have Pokemon go to the polls.
She just came off as so elitist and, inauthentic. Just so fake, By contrast, the Republicans nominated Trump, someone that was viewed as an outsider and authentic. And somehow not elitist, despite being a billionaire from New York. I don't really get that, but anyways, he at least came off as someone that would change things, and actually meant it. He had slogans such as Drain the Swamp, which affirmed people's beliefs that Washington was corrupt, while Hillary's main message was Stronger Together, which, of course, that isn't a bad message, but it was just kind of bland in comparison and didn't meet the moment at the time. And that's just how most people viewed her campaign in general, just very bland. And yeah, it just didn't meet the moment, you know? Like in 2016, people were like angry. They just wanted something different, and she just didn't provide that. Trump was also able to effectively frame his anti-immigrant policies as pro-working class policies by blaming immigrants for the economic hardship that many Americans were feeling at the time. He effectively used them as a scapegoat, right? Saying that they were stealing jobs from working class Americans, despite there being little evidence to really support that. But unfortunately, it didn't matter because it resonated with people, while Hillary's message didn't. I also think it's worth mentioning Bernie Sanders in this section. Bernie challenged Hillary in the Democratic primary in 2016, but unfortunately he lost. His campaign was what got me interested in politics, so I was very disappointed when he ended up losing. I ended up studying politics in college, largely because of his campaign. It gave me and millions of other Americans just actual hope that we can change this country for the better. And I don't know for sure, but I feel like if he won the nomination in 2016, he would have been able to beat Trump, or at least he would have had a better chance. I mean, he appealed to the same disillusioned voters that Trump appealed to. He was widely seen as an outsider and didn't have all the baggage that Hillary had. But his campaign was also distinctly different from Trump's, just to be clear. Like, besides the obvious fact that he considers himself a socialist, while Trump is a borderline fascist, Bernie ran a campaign built on hope, while Trump ran a campaign built on fear and resentment. That was what made these two campaigns very, very different as well. Like, just look at the contrast between their final campaign ads.
Our movement is about replacing a failed and corrupt political establishment with a new government controlled by you, the American people.
Let us be lovers, we'll marry our fortunes together.
The establishment has trillions of dollars at stake in this election. For those who control the levers of power in Washington, and for the global special interest, they partner with these people that don't have your good in mind.
I've got some real estate here in my bag, counting the cars on the New Jersey Turnpike. They all come to look for America.
So yeah, obviously these two campaigns were very different, but one thing that they did have in common was that people viewed the candidate as genuine and like actually willing to take on the establishment and change things in Washington. Unfortunately, fear and resentment seems to be a stronger motivator for people to actually get out and vote. So Trump was able to take advantage of that, and that's ultimately how he won.
They say that I'm good enough, grabbing my da-da-da, think about shit that I shouldn't, so I tell him it's one of me, he making fun of me, his girl is a bum to me. Like that.
By 2020, people were fed up with the Trump administration. COVID and Trump's abysmal response to it ultimately ruined his chances at re-election. And he didn't even really change his message. Like, he kept using the slogan, "Drain the swamp." And since he was the incumbent, it was pretty hard to run on that because, well, he was the swamp, right? But anyways, if it wasn't for COVID, I think it probably would have been harder for Biden to win. After the start of the pandemic, we saw a global trend of incumbents losing re-election, and COVID heightened Americans' frustrations with the Trump administration. Like, they just wanted something different. Of course, it's still possible he would have won, but it definitely would have been a tougher battle. And many Biden voters seem to be casting a vote against the Trump administration rather than actually voting for Biden, if that makes sense. He just wasn't a very exciting guy. Like, he used to be a great debater, and he had like that fiery energy that like gets people excited.
We are America, second to none, and we own the finish line. Don't forget it. God bless you all, and may God protect our troops. Come on. We're America. Thank you.
But by 2020, he just didn't have that in him anymore.
You think you just fell out? You think you just fell out of a coconut tree? You think you just fell out of a...
For most of the 2024 campaign cycle, we were expecting a Biden-Trump rematch. But the debate on June 27th made it clear that Biden was unfortunately suffering significant cognitive decline.
With dealing with everything we have to do with, look, if we finally beat Medicare.
And a civil war erupted within the Democratic Party as to whether Trump, or sorry, did I just say Trump? As to whether Biden should stay in the race or not. As most of you probably already know, Biden decided to end his candidacy despite insisting he wouldn't, unless, quote, the Lord Almighty came down and said, Joe, get out of the race. Shortly after Biden's withdrawal from the race, he ended up endorsing Kamala Harris. And this immediately made her the presumptive nominee. And there was some resistance to this move among Democrats, including the leaders of the party, such as Nancy Pelosi and even Barack Obama, with them insisting that there should be an open primary. To be honest, it probably wouldn't have made much of a difference if there was an open primary or not. Like, the Democrats just didn't really seem to have any strong leader to take on Trump at that moment. They still don't seem to really have a strong leader, and that's part of why I'm making this video as well. A big problem that Kamala faced was that people didn't really know her platform. Like, they just knew that her administration would be Biden 2.0 essentially. And she pretty much affirmed this when she went on The View and said that she wouldn't have done anything different than Biden.
Well, if anything, would you have done something differently than President Biden during the past 4 years?
There is not a thing that comes to mind.
That was ultimately the nail in the coffin for her campaign. Personally, I think most of Biden's policies were good, but his approval ratings were quite low, especially on the economy. And the higher inflation rate under Biden's presidency, while mostly being due to the pandemic, Americans were still feeling the impacts of inflation, and many felt like Biden was at fault, or he wasn't doing enough to combat it. Kamala needed to differentiate herself more to get away from that image, but she just wasn't able to do that, unfortunately. And then we get to the current day. As of now, Democrats seem more lost than they've ever been, at least in the 21st century. Yeah, there's a few likely people to run in 2028, such as Pete Buttigieg, Andy Beshear, Gavin Newsom, and as well as some other ones that are less likely to run, such as AOC and Kamala Harris, again. But none of them are a clear leader in the race right now. Kamala is currently polling the highest among the potential candidates, but honestly, I don't even think she'll run. I think, if anything, she's going to be running for governor of California. I don't think she'll run for president again, and if she does, I think that would be a big mistake. We really need to have someone different to run in 2028. Like, I think people are just tired of the whole, like, everyone that was involved in the 2020 presidential race. As for current leaders of the Democratic Party, we could probably point to Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries, you know, because they're the highest ranking Democrats in Congress. And they aren't really great at messaging either. Like, when you look at their social media, this is what you're welcomed with.
Thanks for
These posts are just so, like, boring and weird, and it just, like, feels like they're out of touch. Like, why are you patting yourself on the back for just changing the name of Trump's big beautiful bill? Like, the name change did basically nothing. No one really cared about the name that much. Like, yeah, it's annoying to have to refer to it as that, but if anything, it just makes it more confusing when you're referring to the bill because this is what he changed it to. Yeah, the act. That's what it's called now. Notice how I have to say that this is the big beautiful bill in order to know what I'm talking about? Because if you just read the act, you'll have no fucking idea what that is. So yeah, I think that was a bit of a waste of time and not really something to brag about that much. It's kind of pointless, to be honest. Just to be clear, not every Democrat is bad at messaging. Like, not even close to being true. Some of them are actually incredibly good at messaging. A recent example being Zohran Mamdani, who is now the Democratic nominee for the mayor of New York City. Like, his videos are engaging and informative.
Since 1997, the ferry's been free, and New Yorkers have come to know it as a dependable means of transit. And it's the best way to see the Statue of Liberty. So when people say buses can never be free, don't ask them to take a hike, ask them to take the ferry. On June 24th, let's get some more free transit.
He just comes off as very genuine and like an actual human being, you know? And his message of making New York more affordable really resonated with New Yorkers. And it got many of them to vote for the first time. And that's how he won the primary. He is charismatic and he just doesn't seem like he has something to hide, which was something that certainly can't be said about his main opponent in the race, who is running again, by the way. Like, just take the L, dude. You lost. But whatever. Anyways, in conclusion, if Democrats want to win, they need to fix their messaging. They need messengers that are charismatic and authentic, and they need a message that really excites people. For a lot of people, the policies aren't the most important thing. It's just vibes. I know that sounds crazy, but just look at the polls of the favorability of Trump's policies versus Kamala's policies. Kamala's policies were liked way more by Americans than Trump's. The only issue was that Kamala didn't have the charisma that Trump had. And many Americans just didn't view her as authentic. And that's ultimately why she lost. Democrats need new leaders that will energize the room they're in and make people want to vote for them, not just vote against their opponent. But yeah, if you guys like this video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Bye.